Scaling your business globally? That usually means juggling multiple tools. One for payroll, one for HR, another for IT, and before you know it, things slow down. Or you could just use Deal. Deal is the global infrastructure for work, powered by AI and backed by thousands of in-house experts. From hiring and onboarding to payroll, devices, and compliance, Deal handles it all in over 120 countries. One platform, one partner, zero headaches. Book your demo now at deal.com. That's DEEL.com/BT.
I'm Howie Lim. This is Money Hacks by the Business Times. TikTok finance or FinTok trends can promote responsible spending and financial introspection.
If you bought a shirt for $80 and then you exchanged it for a shirt that was $60, you just gained $20. You added that into your account. That's extra money.
Maybe just not that one. Following these trends can offer valuable budgeting lessons without harm unless they necessitate a complete personality change. Everyone can benefit from greater spending discipline. Welcome to Money Hacks, a podcast series by the Business Times, where we explore useful financial tips to help you on your money managing and wealth growing journey. I'm Howie Lim, and the expert help today comes from Seth Wee, content creator with Sethify.
Hey, morning, Howie.
Seth, beyond the flashy edits and catchy tunes, how long do these TikTok side hustles actually last? Are people really building sustainable income or just chasing trends?
Yeah, I think side hustles in general, they actually require sustained effort, right? It's not always as easy as TikTok videos make it seem to be. Of course, some are, I think, easier than others. But generally, I think the ones that really last are the ones that you put effort into. Right? There's really very few things that you can put a little bit of effort and then get passive income forever. That really doesn't quite exist in my opinion. Yeah, so I think a true side hustle is something that you put effort in, is something that people demand of. In fact, most of my main hustles started from side hustles and they take a lot of effort, they take a lot of time. Yeah, so I don't think there's any get rich quick, especially things that doesn't require much effort. That doesn't exist in my books.
Yeah. A lot of TikTok finance gurus also preach extreme budgeting. How do you think they balance making financial progress with actually enjoying life and not burning out?
I think when it comes to budgeting and saving money, it really depends a lot on your own personality. Some people actually enjoy frugality. They take that to TikTok and they impose it on others, or rather, I think they share it with others and then they expect that, okay, this is something that applies to everyone. But I think you really need to find something that works for you, right? Not everybody can enjoy frugality, but I think people can still take lessons from how to budget, how to save more money for your future, how to delay gratification. Those are good habits to have. But of course, anything taken to extreme is always bad, right? So everything in moderation, even moderation itself. Personally, I think if you have difficulty saving, use these TikToks as an inspiration to develop your own way of saving. You don't have to go extreme. In fact, I believe in investing in your own vices. So if you like a particular hobby, it's something that is probably expensive, by all means, spend money on it if it makes you happy. But of course, then you have to find other areas to save on so that you can spend guilt-free on the things that you like.
I like that. Investing in your own vices. Okay, given how short TikTok videos are, I'd be worried about complex financial stuff getting oversimplified. What are the potential pitfalls for people who just blindly follow the advice?
Yeah, so I find that a challenge as well because I create content on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, in short form videos, it's very difficult to have nuance in a short 30 to 60-second video. Some potential pitfalls will be following advice and getting into investments or products that may not be suitable for everybody. So a TikTok can quickly introduce you to a particular investment or financial product, but it doesn't really tell you the full story. So I think it is a good starting point for you to explore certain products, certain financial concepts, but you should always do your own due diligence. Research before getting yourself into any financial product because it can have wide-ranging implications on your financial health. Like buying a wrong investment, you might lose money. Buying a financial product, you might get locked into a commitment that is not suitable for you for many years. Those are potential pitfalls that might happen.
Oh, makes sense. Okay, let's get into your views on some of the TikTok money trends making the rounds now, which are, let's be honest, just plain wrong and sometimes absolutely ridiculous.
For example, if you spend $100 and you get a $10 reward, you just made $10.
That's not accurate. That's not how that works.
Yeah, because now in a future purchase, you just saved yourself $10. If you return an item at the store, you just earn money. So if you return something and buy something at the same time, it was free.
No.
Or like if you pay for cash with something, it's free because it's not coming out of your bank account.
Yeah, I think you can't beat girl math when it comes to that, right? That I think went very viral, and of course, it's purposefully nonsensical, right? They're just trying to create funny content using obviously wrong concepts. But of course, when you are reaching millions of people, there are some people who take those advice as literal advice. Yeah, and then they, do things like, oh, cash in my purse is free money, right? Because it doesn't show up on my transaction, so I can spend it freely. And of course, I also seen things like boy math, where you spend $800 on a credit card just to enjoy free lunch at the airport. Yeah, so those are really funny things that you can find on TikTok, but I would say that don't take them literally. You can, of course, have a laugh. It's good to be irresponsible with your money every now and then, but you can't take it overboard.
Yeah. Here's one, the unsubscribe from temptation trick, which could include unsubscribing from marketing emails, not saving credit information on shopping apps. Just delete the app altogether, I say, and unfollowing brands on social media.
Yeah, I think that definitely works to some extent, right? Because companies, they spend money, they spend effort to build up their marketing lists and good money on advertising because it works, right? So by unsubscribing, you are just reducing the touch points these companies have with you. And that, I think, definitely does have an impact to your buying decisions and, the amount of money you spend. Yeah, so I mean, how many times do you see an ad or a mailing list and then decide, hey, maybe it's a good sale, I'll spend money, but then, it's something that you actually don't really need. Yeah, I think that definitely helps to some extent.
Still to come, we're speaking with Seth Wee from Sethify.com about some of the TikTok money trends making the rounds. More in a moment.
Lens on Singapore is now bigger and better. The same deep dive exploration of socioeconomic and geopolitical issues which impact our lives here in Singapore and the region is now a video podcast. If watching a conversation is your thing, join Claressa Monteiro in monthly conversations about things that matter. Subscribe to the BT Lens On playlist in the podcast tab of the Business Times YouTube channel and start watching today. BT Lens On Singapore, now available in audio and video.
And now, back to Money Hacks from the Business Times.
Welcome back. Seth, we've been talking about TikTok money trends. What about this one? The cash-only weekend experiment. So no cards, no apps. It's supposed to make you think more critically about your purchases.
Well, I guess if you are a subscriber to Girl Math, then that might not help, right? Because they believe that cash is free money and doesn't hit their bank accounts. That could work if someone is really very bad with, purchasing decisions. There are people I know that would spend their cards, and, credit cards are meant to encourage consumption. So if there are individuals who fall within this category, I think, if a cash-only weekend helps your spending habits, by all means, go for that. But personally, I am someone who will put every amount of spend on my credit card as far as possible because, you can get cash back up to 8, even 18%. You can get your miles to defray your travel costs. Yeah, so personally, I think if you can be disciplined with your own spending, definitely use a card so you can get your rewards. But if that really doesn't help you make good decisions, then by all means, stick to cash.
Okay, if you don't recognize those sounds, you're safe. The hack is cycling through one streaming service a month rather than paying for all at once.
Yeah, I'm actually guilty of this because I have too many streaming services that I'm subscribed to, and I obviously don't have time to finish everything, right? One service has enough content for you to go through the month. So I think that's actually pretty good advice that I might start considering for myself.
Glad to hear it. I tell you, there's financial advice about everything these days, from avoiding panic buying to predicting whether you're about to get laid off. Oh, I saw this one the other day, preparing for recession. That's not as bad as girl math on the ludicrous scale, but I'm thinking it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? If people feel bad enough about the economy, they might spend less, and if they spend less, that slows down the economy.
The general idea of preparing for a recession does make sense. In the past couple of years, we have been warned about potential recession coming up. So I think if that makes you prepare some emergency savings, some backup funds in the event that you do lose your job or a bad recession comes, I think that's great. I think that's a good thing to prepare for. Personally, I tend to keep quite a bit of savings on hand for emergencies and long periods of no income. So yeah, I'm behind that idea. For every TikTok you have encouraging someone not to spend, there's also another one talking about, you should YOLO, you should spend because there's no
In case you
guarantee.
die tomorrow.
Yeah. So I think TikTok trends have influence, but there are also conflicting advice there. I don't think that it's powerful enough to start recession on its own. Right, it's probably more dependent on other macroeconomic factors. And yeah, I don't think TikTok has that ability to make everybody so frugal that a recession starts. But people follow the advice that they like.
If you, Seth, could give the TikTok generation one piece of financial wisdom that goes against the grain, what would that be?
The boring stuff works, right? And they are boring for a reason. They don't translate very well into TikTok content. Right? It's like a doctor telling you to sleep better and drink more water. That's not going to get any traction on YouTube, on TikTok. The same thing applies to personal finance. The most important thing that most people can do, particularly younger working adults, is really just to hold down a job, be prudent with your spending, and invest for the long term in low-cost, diversified instruments. So that took me 5 seconds to say. So it's not going to do very well on a TikTok video. But yeah, I think the boring stuff does make sense and we should pay more attention to the boring stuff.
And online financial advice seems to change really quickly. What ethical responsibilities do TikTok finance creators have to their audience, especially when younger viewers are involved?
I think the minimum that TikTok creators should do is to disclose any advertising money they're taking, any sponsorships, because that obviously influences the kind of content that they put out. Readers need to know about the clash of interest between TikTok creators as well as the viewers themselves. Of course, I think don't peddle things for the sake of commission, for the sake of sponsorship money. Try to be more mindful that when people watch your content, they may take it out of context. You only have 30 to 60 seconds to explain a concept. So I steer clear from riskier things like crypto, like stock picking, things like that. Yeah, I tend to be more conservative in the content that I make.
And what's your take, Seth, on the innovation versus speculation balance these platforms often highlight? What red flags should we watch out for?
Yeah, I think the number one thing to take note of is that it's always a trade-off between risk and return, right? There's no such thing as low risk and high return. So whenever you see someone talking about the returns that they get, I mean, it's like going to a casino and betting on a roulette table, right? I mean, the winners can tell you how much they win, but you rarely see the losers telling you, I lost how much gambling. So it's pretty much a fine line between gambling and investing when it comes to some of the more volatile instruments. So I think the red flag would be if the money seems too easy, then you have to ask yourself, what's the risk involved?
Takeaway order Money Hacks 240 is up. Looks like we can enjoy our little splurges, just maybe don't buy a yacht every Tuesday. And if someone tells you a financial tip is too good to be true, they're probably trying to sell you something. Real side hustles involve, actual work, not just clicking like on a TikTok. And now for the truly thrilling part. Hold a job, don't spend like a drunken sailor, just invest in boring, long-term stuff. A big thank you to Seth Wee, content creator, Sethify.com.
A pleasure as always, Howie.
I'm Howie Lim, and this has been Money Hacks by the Business Times.
This is a podcast by the Business Times. Find more BT podcasts at businesstimes.com.sg/podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is meant to provide general information only. SPH Media accepts no liability for loss arising from any reliance on the podcast or use of third parties' products and services. Please consult professional advisors for independent advice.